Okay, we are back at the Fighting Network. I love doing these talks every week, and I've got a friend that I've met on the streets of the internet, and he's in the United Kingdom. That's Paul Wakefield.
Excellent.
And Paul, I appreciate you joining me and being a guest here. I know you've got a lot of good stuff going on in your life, and that's why I thought you would be a great guest for us to hang out for about a half hour and talk about what it's like, being an entrepreneur, starting things up from scratch, turning them into a business where you can profit. Because today, lots of people are thinking of going into businesses for themselves, and I know you're busy helping people like that, aren't you? Talk to me about your business and lifestyle coaching. I know you're good at that stuff.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. So thanks for your time, and yeah, look forward to sharing some golden nuggets, hopefully. Um, yeah, I mean, blimey, I've been in business for myself now for nearly 20 years. So it's been a very interesting journey. Um, Kind of, I don't know, kind of like a lot of people. I think I kind of fell into it in a way, but I fell into it because I was told that I was a rubbish employee. So I didn't really have much choice, to be honest. I got sacked from the last job that I had, like I say, 20 years ago. Um, but just to sort of kind of give a bit of picture on it, I think I've always been very entrepreneurial. And the reason why I say that is, as a kid, I had my first job was a paper round when I was a child, about 12 years old. And at the time, my paper round, I was delivering 50 papers, so 50 papers in the local area. But there was a girl who lived near me, and she was delivering 75 papers. So obviously, she was making more money than me. And I can remember, like, about 3 months in, like, so I was about 12, 13. I said to her one day, I went, I'm going to buy your paper round. And she was like, no, you're not. You can't do that. And I went, I can and I will. She's like, no, you can't. Well, 4 months in, I did. I brought it. And and then there was another guy. I'm trying to cut a long story short. There's another guy very similar. I brought his. And so by the age of, I think, 13, 14, I'd brought four other paper rounds, and suddenly I was delivering 750 papers in the area. I had the largest paper round. And between myself and my parents, we kind of turned into a bit of a production line on a Friday afternoon after school. So I think sort of quite early on, I had this ambitious entrepreneurial mindset. Again, I say, apart from the paper round, I had three jobs as a kid. So even as a teenager, and I'm 47 now, so I'm going back a long time. I was earning like, 80 to £100 a week back then. Um, so I always had that drive and that ambition. And then, like I say, as I got to like mid to late 20s, although I had a fantastic career in sales, in marketing and business development, it got to a point where, like I said, the last job I had, I got sacked after 6 months, or kindly asked to leave, as he said it. And when I asked why, he was like, look, he said, like, I've got 200 odd people here. He said, and you're the only one who doesn't really follow the rule book. And I was like, yeah, but I'm probably also one of the only ones who actually hits and achieves my targets. And he went, yeah, but if everyone done what you do, I'd have a riot on my hands. I went, or you would have a very successful business. And he went, no, he said, look, you're not prepared to follow the rule book, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to let you go. So obviously then I was 27 or 28. I was like, so what am I supposed to do? And he's like, go and set up your own business. And I was like, oh yeah, of course. That's exactly what you do, isn't it? So that's really kind of how I sort of fell into things. But when I started, I started off as a consultant and a trainer. I've always loved that industry, but I actually wanted to get into the whole mental health and well-being side of things, 20 odd years ago. But sadly, like, back then, Jack, like, mental health wasn't really a thing. So what I was doing was actually helping business owners, stressed out business owners, but I was labeling it as personal development. Because if I spoke to people and said, look, you're stressed, you're anxious, it's down to your mental health, they were like, well, what do you want about? What do you want about? I'm fine. So I just, okay, well, I think you could do with improving your personal development. I can help grow your business, but the business is the easy side of things. It's you that's the problem. So then I built the business up, working with business owners, CEOs, a handful of celebrities as kind of like their business and personal development coach and their assistant. And things have grown, and I'm now, I still do that, but I'm now the founder of a company called Wellness for Children, which is the WFC. And although I still help business owners, CEOs, etc., again with the business and the personal development side of things, my real love turned to children. And that come from COVID, because a lot of my clients were like, Paul, my kids are struggling. And I was like, well, with what? It's like, well, they're stressed, they're anxious, they haven't gone outside, they're not doing this, they're not doing this. So I was like, okay, well, I've got a few products and things that I can, give you, a lot of digital products, ebooks, worksheets, and stuff that I'd created and written over the years. So I gave it to my clients. They gave it to the kids, and they went, Paul, this is amazing. We haven't seen anything like this. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. So I took a huge kind of U-turn and thought, okay, well, as much as I like working with adults, maybe it's time I started working more and focusing more with children. So that's what I do. I launched a company, a brand new company called Wellness for Children. We support 10 to 18 years of age kids and families. We're teaching and educating them on the importance of wellness and mindfulness. And we also offer coaching, we do workshops and various things. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey. But like I said, for what I wanted to do, which is now the whole mental health side of things, it kind of took me sort of 15, 16, 17 years to get into it. And the reason why I say this is because I speak to a lot of ambitious people, a lot of people who have got the mindset to be an entrepreneur, but sometimes the timing isn't right. But you have to continue. 20 years ago, when I wanted to help people with their mental health because of my own personal circumstances or what happened to me as a kid, mental health wasn't a thing. I could have given up and I could have stayed in a job and probably had a very different lifestyle. But I knew what my calling was. I knew what my mission was. I knew what my why was. I've persevered and continued. And despite the pandemic being so bad, the good thing that come out of it is that there's been more awareness of this, and it's now allowed me to actually fulfill my dreams of what I want to do. So the first message I'm just going to say to people is, don't give up. Timing is everything. If things aren't happening right now, please just persevere and continue, because I promise you the time will come. It really will come.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I really love your story, and everybody's got a story, but that's a great story, and it's special to me because I I wasn't a good student in school, so I really struggled with academics. And then going out into the real world, you've got to be able to read well, you have to be able to comprehend and that kind of stuff. I jumped both feet into personal development, and I was lucky through a company I started working with. I had a great counselor, the great late Jim Rowan, changed my life. But I'm saying this because where did the separation, the fork in the road come when it was personal development and then it became mental illness? How did that happen?
So again, the reason why I wanted to get into the first place. So when I was at school, when I was a teenager, I got severely badly bullied as a kid, Jack. And a lot of days I used to run home from school in fear of my life. I had guns put to my head. I had knives at me. I had a lot of times where I really did feel for my life. And it continued into my early 20s. And at the age of 21, I was actually I'd moved out of home. I was, living out on my own or with friends. And I was going to my parents' house for dinner one evening. And my then girlfriend, let's say 20 odd years ago, picked me up, drove me to my parents' house. And I can remember, well, the last thing I remember, my sister opened the front window of the house. I got out of the car and my sister shouted out, she went, "You're late, dinner's on the table." Well, that was the last thing I remember. The next thing I remember, I woke up on the bathroom floor in my parents' home, two paramedics next to me, my parents in front of me, my mum crying and my sister there. And I was like, what the heck is going on? So the paramedics sat me up, let me up against the radiator, gave me some water, and they explained that I just had a severe panic attack. It was so severe, it caused a lack of oxygen to my brain, and I just
Wow.
died for around 30 seconds. And that the paramedics saved my life. So it was, yeah, it was a very, as you can imagine, surreal experience. I then, for several months, had brain scans, MRI scans to make sure I wasn't brain damaged. Touch wood, I wasn't. But I had 4.5 years of counseling to try and figure out what the heck happened. Why did that happen? And although the counseling was good, I never got the answers that I wanted. I didn't get the education on the why it happened. And although I still recommend to people to go and get counseling, what I found with counseling was that counseling was very, very much about thinking about the past and trying to figure out what happened in my past to get me to that position of collapsing. Well, as most people know, some don't, but if you think about the past creates depression, the future creates anxiety. So if you can imagine 4.5 years of having counseling where for 60 minutes once a week for 4.5 years, all I spoke about was my past. And I was just going into a slippery, slippery slope every single time. Drink was coming into my life even more. Drugs was coming into my life even more. I was a complete and utter mess. So I ended up actually going onto a self-learning education journey, trying to figure out why I'd got into that position myself. And when I educated myself on it, that was when things changed. And my counselor actually said to me, fair play to her, she's like, I think you'd be a really good counselor. And I was like, well, that's great. I said, but I'm dyslexic. I left school with no qualifications. And I've seen the exams and things I have to do as to be a counselor. I've got no chance. So 2005, I actually stumbled across a guy who was doing a life coaching training course to become a certified coach. Cost me about 5 grand, 6 grand back in 2005. But what I liked about it was that I didn't have to do any reading, writing, or anything else. I had to do 90 hours of coaching. Every call was recorded, and then I become certified. But it was a 12 months coaching program.
Wow.
So from there, it was very in depth, and that's where my love of coaching come into things, and that's where my love of I know I've now got what it takes to be a mental health coach, an anxiety specialist, and really help to improve people's mental health and well-being. But like I said, back then, 20 years ago, people they don't talk about it now, let alone 20 years ago. So because I done all of the training in mental health and well-being, I also done a lot in personal development. And it was just easier back then, Jack, to say, yeah, I'm a personal development coach and I'll work with your mindset and help you do that.
Uh-huh.
And then, like I say, about 5 years ago, really just before COVID, I started talking more about mental health and helping people. And then I say COVID come about, and that was it. So it's been interesting. I mean, I've had just over 100,000 people attend my live events. I've written 6 books, all combination of business and personal development. But my latest one, and this isn't a plug, please don't think, but I've written a new one which is called Mindful Mornings, and this is the first book that is actually 100% based on mental health and well-being, whereas the others were a combination. So I've now gone all in. I'm 100% all in, helping children and family to improve their mental health and educating them on the importance of mindfulness and wellness.
Oh, that's just awesome. And I'm going to pick myself up a copy of that book, Mindful Mornings, and we're going to put that in the description for people that want to pick up a copy. So,
Thank you.
yeah, that's really great. Tell me when it comes to mental illness, mental health, how much of a factor is fear in one's life that's everything, a lot of that stems from that's a big deal, isn't it? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, massive. Because so funny enough, I was on the radio this morning at a local radio station, and fear is huge. But a lot of fear comes from that uncertainty and the anxiety. And again, if we go back to when we were a child, for me, the education system is broken. It's very old school and it needs changing. But if we look at what happens from a kid when we start education, from day one, we are being educated to be better people, but we're being educated based on our future. So everything, every single day at school is about what you're going to do in the future, whether that's in a week, in 3 months, in a year, 3 years, whatever it is. So every single day, children are constantly being pushed and educated based on the future. So if suddenly a kid's being told that you're an A-star student and you could achieve this, that's anxiety because of the performance that they have to keep up. It's like, oh my God, okay, so I may start, that's great. But now they feel the pressure and the overwhelm to continue doing that. Then the fear kicks in, because what if they suddenly drop down to a B rather than an A? Then suddenly that fear of, I've let my family down, I've let myself down, I've let the school down. So fear, it plays a massive, massive part of anxiety, of stress, and overall mental health. People are scared to fail. People, they fear change, because people get in the rut of doing the same old thing. But if you can change the way you think, because for me, anxiety is thoughts. If you can think it, you can unthink it. So if you fear something, you can unfear it. And a lot of it comes from habits. And that's what the Mindful Mornings book is about. It's about creating a daily habit. And it's also focused on being present. I get that we want to be successful, or we want to do this, or we want to do this. Well, have that as your goal. That could be a 3-month goal, a 3-year goal, a 5-year goal, whatever. But be present and focus on the now to make sure you achieve that. In business, we talk a lot about, well, if that's what we want to achieve financially, now let's reverse engineer how we're going to make that. How many clients do we need to achieve that? Well, again, let's focus that on ourselves. If I want to have a successful career in whatever it is, rather than constantly putting unnecessary pressure and overwhelm on me to achieve that, just reverse engineer it. What have I got to do every single day to get me one step closer to that? If I can have a daily habit of 10-minute exercises, then I'm going to live, hopefully, longer, happier, and healthier to achieve my goal. If I can spend 10 minutes a day journaling, then 10 minutes a day allows me to brain dump all the unnecessary rubbish in my mind. So if I do that now, I'm going to be focused and my mind is going to be clear. So it's just, again, about being present and trying to eliminate as much fear as you possibly can by just focusing on the now and being present.
Oh yeah, that's really, I spend most of my life helping people to start a business and teaching them the basics of running a business, a distributorship. And the biggest challenge was helping them to get their mindset straight, and teaching them how to think was really where all the success was. It wasn't teaching them how to develop customers and how to expand their distribution. No, it was teaching them how to think when they're being challenged with that mindset, because you have this thought that says to you, you can't do this. This isn't going to work. You're not good enough.
Absolutely.
And so I know your book is going to be a great read.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that very much, that I'll be able to post that in the description. We're going to put this up on Spotify, and we'll get your copy of that link. I know that you're probably really good with your plan. What does your day look like? Do you have a routine that you follow? How important is that for your success and to keep you in alignment with just staying happy and focused?
Yeah, so I do. So I have my mindful mornings. They emphasize the title of the book. Sorry for the constant plug here.
No, it's good.
So I base my mornings, it kind of starts the night before. And the reason being is because the first thing I do is routine. So a lot of people, especially in the entrepreneurial world, probably see people like Steve Jobs, and here in the UK, new young Stephen Bartlett and Mark Zuckerberg. When you see pictures of these very successful people, a lot of them constantly just wear black or gray or something like that. They're always in it. There's a reason for that, is because that allows them, when they get up every morning, they don't have to worry about what they're going to wear. So my morning starts the night before. I said, this is one of my hoodies for the company. I've got black jeans on. Every single day, Monday to Friday, I wear black jeans and I wear a hoodie. And it's all company branding. So I know the night before, like, I know what I'm going to wear. I also know in the morning that I'm going to have a papaya smoothie and a fennel tea. So I know what I'm going to have in the morning. I know if I've got meetings or anything like that, my bag and everything is prepped. So I know in the morning, my routine and everything I'm going to do is all ready. So routine is the first thing. It's the most important thing. It allows you to declutter and unstress if you know and you're organized. The next thing is about simplicity. We live in a very, very hectic world these days, a very, very fast-paced world. And for me, a lot of people overcomplicate their lives. If we can keep things simple, again, it creates a lack of overwhelm. Let's like de-stress. You know, I see so many people that focus on like massive to-do lists and they're proud of going, yeah, I've got about 30 things on my to-do list. Well, that's ridiculous. Because like every morning, if you're looking at that to-do list and there's 30 things on there, that's instantly creating overwhelm, unnecessary anxiety, unnecessary stress. Every single day, I only ever focus on 3 key projects. And I base my day on a traffic light system. So I call it the green, yellow, and red. So in green, I will have a few things in there, maybe half a dozen things, which I know need to get done, but aren't that important. Amber are kind of like warm. So like there's probably 2 or 3 things in there that again must get done within the next 2 or 3 days. Red is like, that's the hot things. And there'll be 3 things in there that I know have to get done that day. And that's what I will do that day. So everything is based on simplicity. So routine and simplicity, exercise, 10 minutes every morning.
We're frozen. We're frozen. We'll come back. Hang in there. Paul,
okay.
We're frozen, but we'll come back.
Okay.
You see? Kick in, pull it through. Let's go. We're a little bit frozen. Okay, we're still frozen. Oh, we're back. Oh, very good. I love that. I love it. I love it. I do similar things, and I'm not going to get into that, but it just it makes me feel good that we have so much in common, and a lot of it came from personal development and simplicity, and you know, when you try to do too much, you know, I mean, how many days, years, months, years that you have to, you're always moving things over to tomorrow because you're trying to handle so much for today. And it took me years to get that down. But
exactly.
that is such and people just don't get, and this is the simple stuff. People just they really don't see how easy it can be when you simplify your life and you live by certain principles and concepts, and you live by following instructions. It really helps a lot. Tell me about, tell me, go ahead.
So I don't know where we cut off there, but there's 6 things that I do. And I'd say it's routine, simplicity, exercise, affirmations, journaling, and meditation. Now, each one of those takes 10 minutes. So every single morning, I have a 60-minute routine. I spend 10 minutes doing each thing. And that's my morning. That's my morning routine. So that's what I call my mindful mornings. And it's, you know, the affirmations allow me to boost, you know, it's that self-awareness, that self-confidence. The journaling just allows me to get everything out of my mind. The meditation allows me to be present. 10 minutes of exercise gets the heart beating. Keeping things simple allows me to de-stress and have a simple day. And the routine, I say, it just allows me to be organized, so I don't have to worry about everything. So those 6 simple things are what I've been doing now since, again, sort of mid-20s, something like that. And it doesn't matter at what age you are, what you're doing, just have, like, say, I suppose a framework in a way, but it's just daily habits, daily routines are so important, so important.
Yeah, it is. It really is a framework that you have. And if you don't have this framework, it can get hectic. Life can become so challenging. And this is why so many people struggle with mental illness. Tell me about this Brains 500 award that you've got. What is that? That's a big gig, I think.
Yeah, so thank you for looking at that. Yeah, so 4 years ago now, I think it was something like that. I got a random message on LinkedIn, to be honest, Jack, and it was from a lady who was like, "Hi, Paul. We've been following you for a long time. We love your content, love what you do. We do an annual reward where we have people sent to us who are nominated and listed if they win as a top 500 global business leader." And I was like, right, okay, thanks for your message, but I think you've got the wrong person. And they went, no, no, no. Like, we've had quite a few people send your details to us. So we've been looking at you. And I was like, okay, all right, thanks. Didn't think anything of it. A few months passed. I then got another message come back saying, Paul, congratulations. You went into the list. You have been nominated. We'd like to reward you as one of our top 500 global business leaders. So I went, oh, great. I said, what am I, number 500 or something? And she went, no, you're not at 247. And I went, oh, this is actually a serious thing. She went, yes, it is. I went, so who else is on the list then? And at the time, like, you had Gary Vaynerchuk. Oh God, I can't remember. They were like some really like big names, and I was like,
that's great.
what? Yeah, so like it blew me away. But I've won several awards. Like I say, to be fair, that's probably one of the best, if not the best. I've won different awards for being, I say, best-selling authors and marketing awards and various other things. But to be recognized in doing what you're doing, it's just amazing. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, even now, I just kind of think, really, I'm sure they got the wrong person. Maybe it's the Paul Warfield or whoever it was you mentioned. Maybe it should have been him, to be honest.
That's great. Well, you are an awesome guy. I appreciate your time. I told you we'd go about 30 minutes or so, and we're just about there. And Paul Wakefield, I appreciate you very much. When the things that you share are things that I'm really looking forward to reading the book, and I hope others pick up a copy of Paul's book, because I know it's going to be a life changer for people. And because it's the simple things that we can do in life that are really easy to do, that are life changing. We don't have to radically change things. We just have to do a handful of things. Just makes life so much better. So
Absolutely.
you have a link or something. You have a link that you can send me, and send me afterwards. We'll put that link in the description.
Absolutely, I'll send you the link, and I'll finish on thing, because I'm a keynote speaker, and when I get booked to speak, and one of the first things I always say is, look, what I'm about to talk to you about isn't new. And they're like, what? You've got all these other speakers that go on stage to try and reinvent the wheel. And I'm like, look, what I'm going to tell you isn't new, but I guarantee most of you aren't doing it. And that is exactly the same as this. If you haven't got a mindful morning routine, please set one up. Honestly, it's a game changer. It really is. So I say, I'm not reinventing the wheel. It comes from my own personal experience, but by having routines, daily habits, it really will be a game changer for your business. It really will.
Yeah, and like you said, this isn't new stuff. We're reminding people of what they already know. But when we can take it, and Paul, I'm again looking forward to reading the book. I know your book will be a roadmap for people and helping them get their life together.
Thank you so much.
Paul, I appreciate you very much, and let's stay in touch. I hope to let's have you back online with us in another 6 months or a year. You can update us on how much more success and awards you've won and helping. I really love the fact the wellness for children. I think that niche, you really found a beautiful niche there. Wellness for children, I think, is an awesome thing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
You got it. So everybody, appreciate you being here. And until next week, God bless all you do. And Paul Wakefield, thank you so much for your time. You're a true champion, and much love to you too. Bye-bye, my friend.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for listening, everybody.